Welcome to the Cowbell Kingdom Road Reaction Postgame Show, where the Sacramento Kings fall to the Pelicans by a final of 102-88 in the Big Easy. Not a great game to watch. Not a lot of flow. Not a lot of ball movement. Stagnant. This was old school Kings. We've seen this game a million times. We haven't seen it very often under George Karl. I am James Ham. Joining me as always, Mr. Rui Thomas. Say hello, Rui.
Hello.
There he is. Look, he's all dressed up. I think Rui's going out. He's going out and having a good time on a Friday night. So it's much better than what happened to the Sacramento Kings. They did not have a good time on a Friday night. Maybe they will have a good time tonight in New Orleans since they do have a couple of days off. But they did not play effective basketball. This was a two-man game. And we'll start with the monster of the night. The elephant in the room, where DeMarcus Cousins absolutely schooled the big, athletic, defensive-minded front line of the New Orleans Pelicans. He finishes the night with 39 points and 20 rebounds. Rui, what are your thoughts on DeMarcus Cousins demolishing the big front line of the Pelicans?
It was epic. I mean, he wasn't playing the Knicks front line or anything. I mean, a very strong guy, Anthony Davis, shot block extraordinaire, and they have great depth on their front line as well with a Jenkees, who we saw tonight. Cousins, was a force. His jumper was going. He was dominating inside. He had 10 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 blocks in the first 8 minutes of the game. He was struggled from the free throw line tonight. He went 4 for 8 in the second half. And, which may have been fatigue, but he did tie his season high of 39 points, had 20 rebounds. He had a double-double in the fourth quarter. He had 11 points and 10 rebounds. But, quiet third quarter, only 1 rebound and 5 points, I believe. It wasn't enough without, much help from his teammates.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? The Sacramento Kings, outside of DeMarcus Cousins and Rudy Gay, really just took a night off. An embarrassing performance by everyone not named DeMarcus Cousins or Rudy Gay. I guess Omri Caspi goes 4 of 8 from the field. He hits both of his three-point attempts, which is nice. But 1 rebound, 2 assists, 10 points in 24 minutes. Not another soul scored in double figures for the Kings, except for Rudy Gay. So let's look at Rudy Gay. And, there's something we got to dig into this Rudy Gay situation. Rudy Gay scores 18 points, grabs 2 assists, 4 rebounds, 7 of 18 from the field, 1 of 5 from behind the three-point line, which isn't great. But what Rudy Gay does tonight is, I think he showed a lot of people that he can, in fact, play the power forward position at the NBA level. And if you look at Anthony Davis's game tonight, 24 points and 9 rebounds. I know this sounds really strange, but those aren't great numbers for Anthony Davis. He's a great player, and I think Rudy Gay did a very solid job of holding him in check, almost equaling him on the points. Of course, he got out-rebounded, but we're talking about one of the elite bigs in the league. This is the guy that people say, oh, he can't guard. But, is DeMarcus Cousins going for 39 and 20 tonight, not Anthony Davis. And so I thought Rudy Gay did a solid job when he was given the opportunity. Of course, the Kings did have other players play the power forward position as well, but really it was Gay a lot of the time mixing it up with Anthony Davis. What are your thoughts on his night tonight?
Oh, Gay, going up against an MVP talent and Anthony Davis, definitely did a good job. His defense helped hold Anthony Davis to 3 of 14 shooting in the first half, although Davis did go off in the second half. He went 8 for 12 for 18 points. We saw Gay driving at Davis, taking him head on and making some really tough layups. Gay's jumper was looking pretty good tonight too. It wasn't really until Thompson came in that Davis was really starting to get things going. In the past, Thompson's been a good matchup against Davis, but tonight, Davis went right at him and scored nearly at will.
Yeah, let's get to a couple of these disappointing numbers, okay? Hold on to your hats, people. This is ugly. So Jason Thompson, you just mentioned him. He plays 20 minutes. Doesn't take a shot. Doesn't take a free throw. Doesn't score a point. He finishes with 5 rebounds and no other stat. No other stat to look at all in 20 minutes of action. Derek Williams, 1 of 4 from the field in 16 minutes of play, 3 points. When could you ever look at a box score and see a game where Andre Miller plays 14 minutes and doesn't have a single assist, and Reggie Evans plays almost 5 minutes of play and doesn't have a single rebound? I mean, this was a very, very odd game where just so few of the Kings came to play at all. I mean, Ray McCallum plays 34 minutes, goes 1 of 4 from the field, finishes with 2 points and 5 assists. That's it. I mean, where were these guys, Rui? Where were they?
I don't know. They're just maybe enamored with that 4 game winning streak and happy with it. I mean, McCallum got worked by Tyreke Evans tonight. Tyreke Evans went off. McCallum didn't disrupt any of his passes and allowed. I mean, there was a play in the first quarter when Tyreke Evans, was in the left corner and jabbed, 3 or 4 times and just pulled up and got an and one jumper. McCallum, that might have just like broken his psyche because Evans went off after that, 25 points and 10 assists for the game. Ben McLemore struggled mightily tonight as well. He kept Eric Gordon in check, but 2 for 9 from the field. Both those makes 3-pointers. Not enough. Only 1 rebound, or no, 4 rebounds, but only 1 assist, 1 steal. You got to have more from your young backcourt.
Yeah, I would agree with you. More from your young backcourt, more from your veterans, more from your guys who are in between veteran status and young guys. I mean, to me, this was really a sad representation of the Kings. They had 14 assists on the night. I mean, they only turned the ball over 11 times, but 14 assists, that's never going to win you a game. You shoot 44.3% from the field. You have a good three-point shooting night, 7 of 15, 46.7%. But this was one of those really, really embarrassing nights. Almost as embarrassing as Sauce Castillo. Now, look, Nik Stauskas, I like him. He's a good kid. Tonight, he actually doesn't play horribly. I mean, he didn't really do anything like everyone else. He has 5 points, 2 of 4 from the field. One of those was a three-pointer. The other one was a sick dunk. I mean, there was even like he hammered it down and then he started strutting, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's strutting. But this whole Rui, what are your thoughts on Sauce Castillo, Nik Stauskas? Nik Stauskas photoshopped into like sombreros, Speedy Gonzalez. What are your thoughts on this?
Isn't it the internet sensation Sacramento? I mean, the team is eating it up. The fans are eating it up. I'd personally be embarrassed, to have my nickname be an error in the translation, the closed captioning on TV. But I mean, if he's going to play like that in short spurts, I guess you have to live with it. I mean, yeah, that dunk over Alexis Ajinka was nasty. I mean, probably the nastiest dunk of his NBA career. And then the three, which was set up by Derek Williams early in the game, looked really nice as well. I'm personally not a fan of the nickname. Maybe something that's like actually related to his basketball playing ability. But I mean, I gotta admit, it's funny.
It's funny. I agree with you. And when your name is Nick with a K and Stauskas, which is very difficult for anyone to say at all. I mean, anyone. It's a brutal, brutal last name to sit there and say. I think it really. I mean, he needed a nickname for sure, and I think this is probably about as close as you can get to like grassroots. It's really funky how this took off. I'm not sure about like having T-shirts made and having Sauce Castillo put on the back of an NBA like replica jersey. I'm just not sure about that. But the Kings are in hook, line, and sinker, and I don't know. Maybe he gets a date to that prom that his girlfriend's going to in Michigan under the name Sauce Castilla and can kind of sneak in the door without anyone knowing. Castillo, there we go. All right, so hey, let's get to our 3 keys to the game. They are much less ridiculous than nicknames that have been made for Sacramento Kings players. Paintball. This is like we've been saying, this is a very stout a defensive team. This is a good defensive team. I mean, Ashik is one of the great low post defenders in the game. Not quite a shot blocker, but Anthony Davis finishes with 6 blocks. You get all your blocks there. But Cousins just dominated them. I mean, the Kings lose the paint battle 36-42. But what are your thoughts on this paintball key to the game, Mr. Rui Thomas?
Well, the Pelicans, they didn't really have to work the paint that much as far on their end of offense because, Davis had his mid-range shot going. Tyreke Evans had his mid-range shot going. They bombed from downtown. They went 9 for 20 from behind the arc. They obviously didn't have an answer for Cousins, who was dominating the glass and the scoring inside. But there was a period in the second when the Pelicans had 6 offensive rebounds. I believe Asik had 3. He had 7 rebounds in the quarter, and Jenkees threw in a couple more, and that led to 11 second chance points, which kept the Kings at bay. So they were, I believe they were down at half. So, I mean, the Pelicans, they kind of just absorbed Cousins as far as his dominance down low, and I mean, they still managed to score 42 points in the paint, which is, you take that every night.
Yeah, it seems like they just kind of let Cousins do his thing and shut down everyone else, took away everyone else. I mean, Rudy Gay, again, 18 points, not a great night, but certainly not a bad night. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more from Rudy Gay than 18 points in a game like this, especially where, half the team is sleepwalking and, ready to move on to the next city. All right, let's get to our second key, which is crisp offense. And that's not what we saw. What we saw was slow motion. This was not run and gun. I saw, Omri Caspi get out and do some cherry picking here and there, especially early on in this game. But the Kings, again, they finished the game with just 14 assists and 11 turnovers. I mean, you'll live with 11 turnovers, but that also meant that they weren't pushing the tempo. They weren't doing the things that makes this team work that we've seen since George Karl took over just a little while ago. So what are your thoughts on this key, Rui?
Well, the thing with the Pelicans, they don't take many shot attempts, but they're very accurate when they do take their shots. And I mean, the Kings didn't turn the ball over too much tonight. They only had 4 turnovers through the first half. They spilled 7 in the second half, and allowed the Pelicans, as I mentioned, with their dominance on the offensive boards, got those second chance opportunities and converted them. They made their threes, they made their jump shots, and the Kings weren't moving the ball very well, as you mentioned, which stagnated their offense. They shot 44% for the game, through both halves, while they allowed the Pelicans to shoot over 66 or 63% in the second half, which is absurd. I mean, their defense collapsed. So you can't have your stagnating offense out there while you're revolving door on the other side.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would agree with you on that point. So let's get to our third key to the game, which is the revenge game. Jimmer Fredette doesn't play. Tyreke Evans goes nuts, 25 and 10 assists. And I got to be honest, I like me some Tyreke Evans. I'm a fan of him just from the time he spent in Sacramento. He's a good guy. I know his brothers, good people. And he's doing well there in New Orleans. I think he's a solid addition to their team. But man, is it just me, Rui, or is he making an and one mixtape and nobody calls a carry on him? I mean, come on now.
He had a couple carries, little flip there with his hand, but I mean, the performance tonight was spectacular. It was, it was one of those rare performances you saw from him, a couple times every season with the Kings. When his jump shot's going and he's getting away with his double dribbling, he's a monster. He got his jump shot, going. He was hitting threes. He was hitting long twos off the dribble, slicing to the lane, playing effective defense. It was a sight to behold. That was the 4th overall pick the Kings, were expecting to have. I mean, Evans is just, a show. I mean, he is a highlight reel, and tonight he definitely put on a mixtape.
Yeah, I thought he looked pretty solid in that Pelicans weird turquoise-ish blue. So good stuff from Tyreke Evans. All right, let's get to our MVPs of the game. I think, despite the fact that the Kings lost 102-88, I think we're both in agreement that DeMarcus Cousins came out to show that he was the best big man in the game, and Anthony Davis is not. It's pretty clear after tonight, just a dominating performance by DeMarcus Cousins. He's approaching 24 points a game on the season as an average, and for me, again, 39 and 20. I mean, you really can't go with another guy, right?
No. I mean, yeah, his defense was great, 20 rebounds and 39 points on a high shooting percentage. I mean, the only complaint was his free throw shooting, 7 for 12 tonight. But I mean, absolute force, looked like, I mean, anything close to that, over the course of the season is MVP caliber. And Asik is no slouch either. He's a great shot blocker and he lives to defend. So, Cousins and him went at it for sure. And, Cousins just whipped him.
Yeah, let's be glad that he lives to defend because his offensive game is nothing short of absolutely pathetic. He's probably the worst offensive big man since Chris Dudley. I don't know. He's bad. I mean, Yinkadare, I know at one point, like outside of 3 feet, he's like a 36% shooter. I mean, it's just bad, just not good. So he definitely has some skill as a defender. He makes every team better, but I think Monty Williams is in a little bit of trouble there. They've spent a lot of money a couple of years in a row bringing in a solid core of players, and I don't think they're getting their money's worth out of a group, even though they've had injuries. I mean, everybody has injuries, and this team just can't get over the hump at all. I mean, they can't take down an Oklahoma City Thunder team that's missing both Kevin Durant and Serge Ibaka. So, I mean, I don't think injuries can be an excuse when you have had plenty of horses for most of this season. What are your thoughts on Monty Williams as a long-term answer there in New Orleans, Rui?
He's definitely in some hot water there because, the defense, I mean, while it's good, his offense, leaves more, asks for more. Definitely not making the most of his talent. I mean, Eric Gordon, probably not one of your favorite players, has been an absolute disaster in New Orleans. And yeah, you talk about their high payroll, Asik making tons of money, and Gordon making tons of money. Tyreke Evans, making $10 million annually. It's a really expensive roster, and a team that's hovering near 500. That's not going to cut it, especially when this is your like third or fourth year with the team. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he's had more time than that. He's had plenty of time to right this ship and get them going, and that has not happened. All right, well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Cowbell Kingdom Road Reaction postgame show. The Sacramento Kings travel to Memphis to take on the Grizzlies, but not until Monday. So a little bit of a reprieve here for a team, down the stretch. I think there are 10 games left in this season. Kings are 1-1 on this current road trip. Little 5-game trip that's pretty brutal. They come back on Wednesday to face the Houston Rockets. This is a interesting stretch for the Kings before the schedule lightens up and they go for a stretch run to see if they can crest the 30-win plateau. So I am James Ham. Say goodnight, Rui.
Good night.
He is Rui Thomas, and you've been watching the Cowbell Kingdom Road Reaction postgame show. We'll be back on Monday for another one of these beautiful Google Chats, and we will see you then. So that's going to do it for this edition of the Cowbell Kingdom Road Reaction postgame show.